I've seen people mocking accents and ethnic groups and genders, and it really, really worries me. I find it completely insane, to be honest, that one minority group is prejudiced towards another minority group, not just another minority group, but a minority group that fits within their own group. Psychologists and that sort of thing, they'll say that prejudice is just a form of functioning in the world. You know, to try and fit and understand into a confusing world, we put people in boxes so that we've got a shortcut, we understand how it works.
Essentially, discrimination does hurt more when it comes from the queer community because, you know, for the last 15 years I've had an art practice that has focused predominantly on issues of homophobia. I've, you know, done things like organise queer festival events, and all, you know, majority of this has been voluntary. So it's like I feel like I've put in so much effort into sort of fighting discrimination, and then to be you know, discriminated against. It's just sort of galling.
I've seen racism, I've seen ageism, lots of prejudice against people who decide to have kids, prejudice against people who are really uncertain with their sexuality or gender identity, aren't very out. I've seen, like, I work as a queer advocate, and the shit I hear about people complaining, you know, oh, why do you bother with all those people that are too scared to come up and use the queer space and stuff? I mean, if they're not going to come out, they're just never going to come out. Just forget about them. And there's lack of insight, I guess.
Actually discriminate me against my religion, being a Christian. For example, I went to Queensland Positive People once, and because my church, MCC, was cooking that night, and I mentioned to someone that I was there because MCC was cooking that night, and his response was, "Oh, you don't believe in that garbage, do you?"
Even most recent, a few days ago, I was at a nightclub and with a friend that's currently transgendering, and, you know, we were dancing around just going crazy as I normally do, and someone looked at him and said to his mate, "Oh, what's that?" You know, and he didn't hear that, which I'm really glad. But that kind of stuff, it just upsets me, you know, from within our own community.
I find it particularly galling when I get excluded from the queer community for being bi, while on the same hand I've been excluded from the straight community for having relationships with women, and excluded not just from that profession but financially. There's thousands of dollars they sued me for. So it's like I sort of feel, well, where am I meant to fit? You know, I'm not allowed to fit into the straight community. You know, I'm excluded from having a profession or even having any credibility in my abilities. And then the queer community, you know, because I will occasionally have relationships with men, will exclude me as well. So I guess I would call myself a celibate bisexual because oftentimes it just seems too hard to have a relationship because I just feel like I'm going to be attacked from either end, that no one's ever going to be happy. I remember when I was in my undergrad, we were making all these badges for the queer room, and I made one that said bisexuality, piss everyone off. Because, you know, that's just, it's not like it sort of doubles my chances of getting laid. It's sort of, you know, more like, you know, quadruples my chances of being treated like crap.
I'm so glad to say that I don't experience it daily. And I'm so glad it doesn't happen very often, because I don't think I'd be able to deal with it very well if I had to deal with it on a regular basis.
A lot of, depending on who you're with, I've seen a lot of transphobia. For instance, I was at a conference for queer people last year, and we had a special trans lodge sort of thing, like a room where the trans people were sleeping, and just because we wanted to be able to talk and feel comfortable getting changed, that sort of thing. Some people applied to be in our room who weren't trans just because they wanted to be there, and walked into the room once and they were there begging out one of my friends who's trans, going, "Isn't she scary? She's strange, blah, blah, blah." And you get a lot of, if you don't pass very well as gender, if you're that you identify as, there can be a lot of crap.
will go, oh, I wish there was a woman around, you know, and with a group of girls, lesbians, and yeah, just I know that, yeah, here I am, you know, sort of thing, and they don't. I sort of have that feeling they wouldn't see me as that. And
you don't choose to be Indigenous lesbian woman. I mean, you know how hard it is? The obstacles you go through, and you think, I didn't choose this path. If I was sitting up there and God said, what would you like to be? Do you think I would have sat there and said, I would like to be an Indigenous lesbian? You know, put me in the minority group.
Relationships is the hardest thing for me, I've found. I find that if I'm looking, you know, for in terms of a partner or, you know, that kind of thing, people just automatically exclude me. Like I'm just not date material. I'm not, like they shouldn't be picking me up or that kind of thing, because no one wants to get near a trans person sort of sexually or relationships. They just don't want to go there. So that's been the hardest thing for me, just suddenly being excluded from that.
It gives me a message that people are not so accepting when they should be accepting. It gives me a message that people are not so understanding and caring in a community that should be understanding and caring, since they have been discriminated against themselves. They should be more understanding and caring, but yet they're not.
You know, having been a 78er and being at one of the original Mardi Gras people, I now can't ride in Dykes on Bikes in Sydney anymore. I've got to ride with the boys on bikes.
At Pride last year was the first opportunity I had to take the kids to you know, a gay and lesbian event, and I found that there was like we had our own little area. You know, the kids, you know, and the adult, we were kind of over in this little play area off to the side, and, you know, we left everyone else in their areas. I felt that's just the way it kind of happened.
Having transitioned, well, I'm still partway through it, what really irked me in a way was, I mean, I had this huge community of female queer people that were great friends and we'd hang out together and stuff, and suddenly I'm cut off from that. Suddenly I'm seen as different somehow, even I'm the same person, but a lot of people can't see that, and suddenly all the places you used to go, the people you used to hang out with, it's gone, and they're just going, oh no, you should be hanging out with the guys now, that sort of thing. And I don't want the gender to be a factor in it at all. I just want to hang out with my friends. And
well, I know when I start dating someone, I have to overcome all these other issues in my life, and then I have to also overcome the fact that, are you going to be racist 6 weeks down the track? And I have had occasions where women have been racist down the track and get me into vulnerable positions and voice their opinion about the colour of my skin or my culture.
Met a young guy who was in his early 20s. I was probably about 26. He was probably about 21, 22. Went in the bushes, started having fun. A third guy came along who was also in his early 20s. Three of us were playing around. Then one of them sort of said, oh, has anybody got anywhere safe to go? And I went, oh, well, look, I live close by. So we went back to my place, and then I basically spent the next hour and a half sitting on the end of the bed, playing with myself, watching these two go for it. And every time I try to join in, they go, oh, no, we prefer someone your age to watch us. And I was only like 27, 28 at that stage. So, you know, even back then I was getting, but then I was almost 100 kilos too, which...
Hey, this is a small community. We have to live here. This is her choice. This is what my partner's choice is to look like. You know, you choose to look like that, and she chooses to look like that, you know, and she's my partner. We all have a choice. That's how I'd start, you know, and it's awful. It is awful that it's within our community, but the bottom line is it's everywhere. You know, why is it going to stop at our community?
I don't think I have been prejudiced towards anyone, and I hope I haven't. I'm greatly sorry if you're watching me and and I have been prejudiced against you, but I don't think I have been.